The Polemyot Kalashnikova Pechneg, or PKP, is the latest version of the battle-proven PK general-purpose light machine gun family, replacing the PKM in service since 2001, already seeing action in Chechnya. The PKP uses the same firing mechanism as the PKM, long-stroke gas piston system, which makes the gun, in essence, an upside-down AK. No surprise, since these machine guns are designed by Mikhail Kalashnikov himself. It also features the same feeding system of its predecessor, feeding from the right with two 50-round non-disintegrating belts of 7.62 by 54mm R, which stands for rimmed, and then ejecting these spent casings and belts out of the left side of the stamped receiver. It also features a number of improvements, such as a heavier barrel encased in a radial cooling sleeve similar to that of the World War I Lewis gun. With this, the Pecheneg benefits from substantial accuracy and prolonged barrel life, which is a must since the gun does not feature a quick detach handle for replacing the barrel in the heat of combat. This high-performance barrel comes with a trade. The PKP is 1.2 kilos heavier than its predecessor, weighing 8.7 kilos. Yet, it is still lighter than its US counterpart, the M240 Bravo. In-game, DICE completely misrepresented the Pecheneg, neglecting both operating and ballistic features of the gun. The game depicts the gun as using disintegrating links for the belt and, for the sake of holy balance, massive spread increase. That is a characteristic of all belt-fed light machine guns at the moment since the spring patch. But what really pisses me off are the ballistics that the game attributes to the gun. 600 rounds per minute isn't so bad if you have proper stopping power, but you don't. 33 up to 8 meters and then 21.6 at 65? Oh wow. Adding in a disgraceful muzzle velocity of 560 meters per second versus the real life 825 meters per second. You might as well be pissing against a hurricane here. Not counting that awful spread increase of 0.104. When you have a base spread of 0.3 while standing and a moving penalty of 2, basically forcing you to employ a heavy barrel, just ensure that your first 3 bullets connect. But remember that this attachment increases your muzzle climb to 0.559 from 0.43. That does not affect your side-to-side recoil of 0.35 to both sides. That is one of the good things about the PKP. It doesn't really go up and to the right or up and to the left. It more or less stabilizes itself on the side-to-side recoil. It might start becoming a problem though at longer ranges, which by the way I do not advise you to try and engage targets then. Basically, do not engage targets over 50 meters. It's pointless, you're not going to hit them. Unless you have a bipod, then as long as you calculate your bullet drop, which now is somewhat less noticeable, but the bullets do fly with a certain angle that is kind of hard to calculate, since the gun is zeroed at 50 meters like the rest of light machine guns and assault rifles in the game. But it has such a slow muzzle velocity, you get a pretty steep arc, kind of what you get with the Bulldog and the Scar H. Well, at least the first shot recoil multiplier of 125 is not that bad. Yet this gun does need a serious review on it. Like, DICE needs to go back and look at it. I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna get crucified for saying this, but I'd rather have a bunch of overpowered realistic guns than having a bunch of underpowered unrealistic guns. I honestly think if DICE goes and makes the guns in Battlefield 4 more in line with their real life counterpart, which they are doing in many ways but the ballistics, although they're getting close, we're going to end up with a much better experience altogether. It will end up balancing itself out. Now that should not be applied to shotguns, but I'll talk about that in the next video, or one of the following up videos I'll be releasing soon. But seriously, I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that both the M60 E4 and the M240 Bravo have better ballistics than this gun. They fire at least 100 meters per second slower of muzzle velocity than this gun. 790 tops for the 240 Bravo, counting for the long barrel. That is a muzzle velocity of 7.62 by 51 NATO, which is considerably weaker than the 7.62 by 54mm rim cartridge. It is for no reason that this cartridge has been in service since 1891. That's right, over 130 years old. This kind of cartridge has been employed. Everything from the Berdan single-shot rifles, Mosins, STV-40s, the first PK machine guns, the SVD sniper rifle, all those are chambered in 7.62 by 54R, also the Romanian PSL. So, and all these guns are noted for extremely good stopping power, extremely good effective at range. The PK-Pecheneg, as I mentioned, is now seeing action in Chechnya, and that is a mountainous region. And the troops that are using these guns, these like machine guns, are quite liking them, because they can actually deliver killing blows at over 1,000 meters, over a kilometer away. I'm not sure how do they see the targets, but this round can knock off targets at 1,000 meters. It can kill at those ranges. Dice, for Christ's sake. Yes, give the gun more recoil. Give the gun a higher first shot recoil multiplier. Leave the spread as it is. But for Christ's sake, do something about the damage. And I honestly think all the 7.62 fully automatic guns should always, but always beat the 5.56 and the 5.45 counterparts in their categories. For example, the Scar H before, it was doing 33 to 24 damage. I'm sorry, that was already pretty weak. I honestly think that the gun should always, the minimal damage for the 7.62 guns should always be the max damage of the 5.56 counterpart. So, if the 5.56 MG4 does 24.5 max damage, then the PKP should do 24.5 max damage. The PKP damage drop-off. Okay, you can do this one of two ways. You can either make it start at 12.5 meters, or you can make it end at 100 meters. Either way, you need to make sure this gun hits hard enough at range. There is, I mean, machine guns, you're supposed to drop down, bipod them, and lay down suppressive fire. Actually, some killing power. Not the way it is actually playing out nowadays. It's almost impossible to be accurate with these guns beyond 20 meters. And you really do not want to, because at 65 meters your gun is doing 21.6 damage. That is almost the old damage. That is only slightly better than the damage of the P90 before the patch. Well guys, that's my PKP review. Hope you enjoy it and have a